What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast. I am your host, Chris Raybon. This is our NFL Week 3 touchdown show. I am joined by one of the most accurate rankers in the game, Sean Koerner, and touchdown specialist, Gilles Gallant. How you doing, guys?
I'm good. I feel like we had a really good week 2 podcast last week. We had some good hits. We're walking into Thursday night football. We've got another good slate, I think, for some picks. We were just talking about some big 20-1 hits. You're coming off a Ryan Miller 30-1 hit which was amazing. I'm feeling the vibes right now on the touchdown front. How about you, Sean?
Yeah, and I see an outline that Raybon actually has the Bucks game. So we'll see if he goes with Ryan Miller again. It could be the new Jalen Naylor. Looking forward to see what wacky touchdown bets we got lined up this week.
Oh man, yeah, that was a fun one. This game here on Thursday night will be a fun one. So let's get right into it. It's the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. Historically, a bounce back spot. For the dog in this kind of spot, but we'll see how that goes. Also, reminder, if you want to tail some of these bets, just look for the quick slip link in the podcast and video description, or go to actionnetwork.com/bet now. And you can load it. We'll bet slip with your bets of your choice here for these touchdowns. Jill, high total in this one. Who you going with?
Well, I gave out 2 touchdown props on Action Island earlier today, and both of them have kind of moved, but I still like Devon Achane in this spot. I know it's chalky, but I'm not really sure we could trust anybody else right now on this Dolphins offense. Tyreek Hill, I don't know what he's complaining about this week. Jalen Waddle, I don't know if he'll finish a game. So, at least with Achane, you're getting a running back specifically that leads the team in targets per route run, has scored 2 receiving touchdowns, 6 last year. He's got a touchdown in 18 of 30 career regular season games in all 4 games versus the Bills. So I think Devon Achane is a good first leg for this parlay.
Yeah, he's the Dolphins' only leg. I guess Malik Washington came through with that punt return, almost ruined my bet last week on New England, but thank God for Antonio Gibson. But in this one, I got another couple long shots here, at least unknown kind of guys who are going to get some action. Number 1 for the Dolphins, I like Tanner Conner. Notice that he overtook Julian Hill when they had a more kind of, I guess you could call it like a real route distribution last week because they didn't bench everyone in the third quarter. So Conner overtook Hill as the primary receiving tight end, doubled him up in routes run, but also he took all the snaps in the red zone and all the routes there. So that is a good spot for Conner because I still think the way to attack this Bills defense is going to be with those linebackers. They have a ton of linebackers. It's really the weak link there, and they're going to have to pay attention to Achane and these receivers anyway. So you could see some openings for Conner if they can get down close. And then for the Bills, got to take a little dart throw on Jackson Hawes at 15-1. We didn't see Quentin Morris kind of working in like this as the number 3 tight end. So Hawes hasn't really had a ton of work in scoring position, except that crazy over-the-shoulder catch he had when they were coming back against the Ravens. And this is a large spread, so when you see these large spreads, sometimes things can get out of hand, and you do see the backups. And so there are a couple of different ways, I think, for Hawes to get in the game and get some action down near the goal line. So like him as what we saw Trubisky last week, I think. So give me some Jackson Hawes and Tanner Conner this week. Sean.
I'm going to go with Ray Davis at plus 420. I'm already on his over 21.5 rushing yards here, but with the Bills being 12-point favorites, they're more likely to be playing with an 8+ point lead. And his rush attempt share goes way up when they are up 2 scores. Has just a 24% rush attempt share when it's a 1-score game, but it jumps up to 38% when they lead by 8+. So I like him, to get some extra touches late in the game. So I like plus 420. But another thing that you could do is they have some fourth quarter anytime touchdown markets. Just take him there at 12-1. That's probably the quarter he would score anyway. So I like taking him to score in the fourth quarter at 12-1.
I'm actually disappointed you didn't take my guy Ty Johnson after Ramondre Stevenson just went crazy on the Dolphins in the pass game. I thought you would be on that too. I already bet on him, but I agree.
Yeah,
late.
I'm always, if the Bills are going to be in a close game or maybe like a rare trailing game script, that's the Ty Johnson angle. Whenever they're huge favorites like this, that's the Ray Davis angle. But yeah, I mean, Ty can still catch, a long pass downfield or in the end zone too. So I think all three running backs for the Bills are kind of in play.
Oh yeah, Ramondre put up 5 catches for 88 yards last week on Miami. So that is a Ty Johnson stat line, if you ever heard of it. But Ray, should get a goal line carry at some point in this one. The parlay odds for this are
with yours. It better be 500 to 1 at least.
I mean, well, y'all figure it out. I'm gonna go and
you get part ownership of the sportsbook itself. I'm seeing like plus 5, 4, 7, 2, 1. So
okay.
540 to 1. All right.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, if Ryan Miller can hit a first touchdown, anything's possible. So I say, this is hitting. This is hitting.
Watch, it'll be A-Chan. It'll be the one that sells us on this one.
Nah, don't do that. It'll definitely be Jackson Hawes, but you can also just round robin it with all these guys, and even add a Ty Johnson in from like you can do all the depth chart weird things too if you want. Mm-hmm. But maybe this game will just be like 5 Josh Allen touchdowns, but
probably
hopefully not. All right. I mean, actually, I don't. Yeah, score your touchdowns, Josh. All right, Sunday slate. This game is getting really interesting. It's the Packers at the Cleveland Browns. My guy Stuckey really likes the Browns in this spot. Thinks their defense has been playing elite and it's kind of flying under the radar because they gave up 40 to the Ravens. And I kind of agree. Their defense is playing really well against the run and didn't allow much offense there. So, Joe, curious as to how you're going to attack this one. And I should mention, as we record this, sounds like Tucker Kraft injured himself in practice or got injured in practice. So he's not a sure thing. Kind of sounds like he's going to miss at this point. We don't know for sure, but I just thought I'd point that out.
I'm glad you did, because the touchdown odds immediately shifted once that news came out, because the guy that I was on before the news was Dontavian Wicks at plus 325. With that news, it's around plus 250 to plus 275. I mean, he might actually have a little bit more of an increased role now if Tucker is out. He was playing a little bit more in the slot in week 2, but part of the reason why I still think we could have a little bit of value on Don Wick here is because he just leads the team in target share against man coverage. And the Cleveland Browns, through 2 games, which is more of what we've seen under Jim Schwartz, they just play a ton of man coverage. And now Jaden Reed is also out as well. Matt Golden, we talked about him pre-game, they're trying to get stuff working for him, but it's unproven for me at this point. So I think Dontavian Wicks is probably the one who will see the biggest boost if Tucker Kraft is out. So that's why I like as well. And then on the Browns side, I think the pendulum has swung way too far on David Njoku. I think the Harold Fannin love is a little out of control. I'm not saying he isn't good, but let's just pump the brakes here, because I think the other thing too is the Browns. I mean, we saw this through 2 weeks. They haven't really been able to protect Joe Flacco very well, and I think this is going to be a really tough matchup for them on the offensive side, because just the Packers top 5 in pressure rate right now. So I think you're just going to see a lot more screen passes, maybe a couple seam passes up the middle, but they're going to be short and quick. And I think if that's going to be the case, then David Njoku, I think, is who we want, because he just has that pedigree as far as being the end zone target. He's led the Browns in end zone targets in each of the last 2 seasons. We saw him have those career moments with Joe Flacco. And the Packers, they're playing cover 2 and zone at a top 5 rate. And Njoku has seen his targets per route run go up against both zone and cover 2. And of course, just tight ends, they've had a little bit of success against this Packers defense. Like Sam Laporta, he didn't score, but he led the Lions in receiving yards in week 1. And Zach Ertz, he did end up scoring in week 2. So I think Dontavian Wicks at plus 250 and David Njoku, I'm seeing right now plus 390 for Njoku. So that's who I like on the Browns side.
Yeah, the market seems, like you said, super down. And that's usually the time to buy in. I got a guy like that in the division that I'll talk about a little bit later on the show. Njoku and Wicks, old favorite of the Fantasy Flex Pod. Koerner knows all about that. But I got the Jags hosting the Texans here, and this is, Sean, I think you referred to this as the Bad Vibes Bowl. I think that still might be anything to do with Chicago, but yeah, Liam Cohn's not happy with Diami Brown, Trevor Lawrence, and the like after that showing. His defense, I'm sure. I'm going with Travis Hunter to start off at plus 250. Now, Hunter saw a little bit of a downtick in routes run down to 70% last week after being about 82% the week before. However, a lot of injuries happened mid-game. They needed to use him on defense. He still got a lot of usage in the red zone. And boy, do the Jags need help in the red zone because, I mean, Trevor and Diami couldn't get on the same page. But the other thing I've noticed about the Jags and why I like Hunter here is they're running him out the slot a little bit more. That is going to help him against those Houston corners. But also, the Jags have gotten almost everybody in the end zone. They got Tootin in, Etienne's been there, Hunter Long, like everyone's getting in. So it's down to like even Thomas has been there. So it's like Strange and my guy Hunter. And I think they're going to try as hard as they can to get this guy in the end zone. And for the Texans, going right back to Woody Marks here. Pierce was a scratch last game. I think that's the right way to go. Marks had some explosive plays. So even if he doesn't get goal line work right off the bat, you know, if he kind of works into the rotation a little bit more, I still think he's capable of those explosive plays. A la Tootin last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. So give me Woody Marks at plus 550 on FanDuel. All right, speaking of the Bengals at the Minnesota Vikings. This should be some concentrated touchdown goodness here. Sean Koerner, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jordan Mason to score 2+ touchdowns at plus 390 over at DraftKings. But, Aaron Jones' hamstring injury was severe enough. He's now on the IR, so Mason's going to be the guy for at least 4 games. But Mason was already sort of operating as a lead back when Jones was healthy these first couple games. But now with Jones gone, they really have nobody to push Mason. They have Xavier Scott is the backup. He's kind of a running back. Huh?
Cam Akers is there. They can't quit him. They got him again. Seriously.
I'm not worried about
he's probably not going to play.
Not worried about him. I think if anything, Scott will spell Mason at times on like passing situations, give him a breather. But either way, I think Jordan Mason has one of the highest floors this week just in terms of volume. Any goal line carry is going to go to Mason. I'm sure of that. So that's why I like him here. And, hopefully Carson Wentz can get the passing game back on track and just get them, across midfield more often, kind of set up Mason a little bit better than JJ McCarthy was. So I like Mason to score at least 2 times here at plus 390. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take Jamar Chase to score at least 2 touchdowns at 12-1. I thought that was crazy that he's 12-1, but obviously it's a massive blow to the Bengals with Joe Burrow, suffering potentially a season-ending toe injury. But like we were saying, Raybon, this offense under Jake Browning back in 2023, he was able to, keep a very aggressive passing attack. He's going to be throwing more high percentage looks, getting out quickly, but that sets up well for Jamar Chase. I think he just wants to get the ball in his hands. So I think Chase's projection doesn't change too much right now. So I like the idea of kind of buying low on Chase and the Bengals passing attack right now for him to score 2 times at 12-1.
Yeah, I've already heard they're just going to spam Higgins and Chase and then probably use more of the 2 tight end looks on like around that. And also may get Chase Brown more involved with the screen game again like he was back in 2023. So that's another guy I like as well in that spot. But totally agree on Mason. I think Mason may play every snap. I think he has the high, not even just a floor, like maybe one of the highest ceilings that he's ever had in high ceilings on the slate. He was like a top 5 running back in place of McCaffrey for that stretch. So yeah, man, I think it's time for Mason here. Jill.
Yep.
Falcons looking good with the pass rush. Carolina looking good with the old school Hunter Renfrow 2 touchdown game, but that's about it. Everything else looked pretty horrible. What are you doing?
I think that Panthers scoring output is a little false. I feel like the Cardinals should have won that game by 20 points. They completely took their foot off the gas. I'm not going to necessarily put a ton of stock in what we saw in Carolina's offense, and just because I'm not confident in Panthers touchdown scores doesn't mean we can't find a ton of value. But initially I was looking at like Jatavian Sanders and thinking like, okay, maybe it might be Tommy Tremble's turn. Honestly, like once I just started digging through it, I was like, why don't we just go back to Hunter Renfrow again? He's plus 400. He played over 80 snaps in week 2, or 80% of snaps rather in week 2. And one of the things that I've noticed, especially in week 2, was in this offense, he's kind of taken over that safety blanket kind of role that Adam Thielen was providing last year. And last year, when that player in that role just crushed zone defense, and that was somebody that they targeted routinely. And the Falcons, they're playing a lot of cover 3, a lot of zone. I think that could more play into Renfro's hands, especially at 4-1. The fact that you're getting a wide receiver too, essentially at 4-1, I think is pretty good value. On the Falcons side, though, I went super chalky. I think you just got to take Drake London because the touchdowns are coming. I'm surprised that we haven't gotten there yet, but he's two pretty tough matchups. But again, 3 end zone targets through 2 games. Carolina, just like the Falcons, play a ton of zone, emphasis on cover 3. Well, London, he leads the team in yards per route run, targets per route run, rather, against both of those types of coverages. I mean, he crushed them last year, 16 catches and 3 touchdowns. So, there will be no Kyle Pitts from me this week on the Falcons side. So, we're just doing Drake London and Hunter Renfrow plus 160 and plus 400.
So you said Renfro's like the safety blanket, like Thielen was. So like like safety blanket made out of cotton. Bright cotton. Nah.
Yeah, it's like Linus's blanket, I guess, that he just carries with him everywhere.
His was never bright, though. He was... I am surprised. I thought this would be an interesting spot for you to go. I'm kind of looking for this on the Panthers, like a no touchdown for the Panthers. Because I kind of want to buy low on that Falcons defense now in a spot where no one really believes in them because AJ Terrell is out. Yeah. So I'm going to be looking for that one, too. I think if Renfrow doesn't come down with one, that might be the way it ends up going. Just like I
think it's telling too with AJ Terrell out, who was probably going to match up with Tet McMillan. Tet McMillan's odds didn't change at all. So the fact that you're still getting Tet around plus 180, I think there's still, like you said, there could be just a lot of value on the Panthers just getting shut out.
Yeah, Bryce Young is like 1 of 18 from in the mid range. It's just hasn't been great there for him, but. The NFL season is officially underway, and to get the most out of the award-winning Action app, you'll want to be an Action Pro subscriber. Only Pro subscribers get real-time pick alerts from experts like Sean Koerner, Gilles Gallant, Nick Giffen, Stuckey, our entire Action Network team. And you can access our Pro projections powered by Koerner and our predictive analytics team. And to celebrate football's return, we've got a special offer. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with the promo code POD20. That's POD20 for $20 off the annual price of Action Pro. So don't miss out. At the best bets, at the best prices, visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code POD20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. We move on. Pittsburgh at New England. This game is just all types of tempting from a betting front because you just kind of want to fade the Steelers as a road favorites. It's looking kind of shaky, but then it's also New England always liable to be shaky as well. But I'm going to go with Calvin Austin Jr. for the Steelers at plus 310 at BetMGM. And I have him pretty high in my touchdown projections because number one, I think this total is a little bit low here. And then number 2, he's been getting the most routes in the red zone for the team. And just a 90% route rate overall right there with DK Metcalf. He's kind of solidified himself as that, number 2 receiver. And that could be big in a matchup like this if we get the return of Christian Gonzalez. We'll see about that. But either way, I think Austin, we've seen the New England Patriots give up touchdowns to Jalen Waddle. We've seen them give up touchdowns to Trey Tucker. Those fast guys that can run by people in the secondary can still give them some trouble, even though that's a talented secondary. So, and the communication Minkah Fitzpatrick admitted, it's been, never know. So, for them, so I want to go Austin Hooper. And the reason is he's just kind of forgotten about. And I think, everyone's going to kind of be looking at Butte, and is Diggs ever going to get in the mix? And Mac Hollins scored, and Douglas had like 1 yard again, so who knows with him? But I just think that there's still some kind of miscommunications to be had for this Pittsburgh secondary, and Austin Hooper's a guy that's kind of flown under the radar with Hunter Henry taking on a bigger role, but Hooper's still seeing his snaps in the red zone. Now, not like all of them, because obviously Henry's still there, but that is where he's seeing an uptick. And so I want to kind of get ahead of that, because I think he could end up working in to this New England offense as well once, kind of some of the luster wears off of the wide receivers, because they're getting all these like one catch, one touchdown type of performances. So maybe but I would say this: if Efton Chisholm III is active over Douglas, who's just been not very well from a statistical standpoint these last couple, definitely sprinkles him in there as well. That'll be a play for me if that happens, because Douglas has been struggling a little bit. So that's my angle there. Koerner, Rams at Eagles. I know you're going with it.
Yeah, you know where I'm going, Raybon. Anytime I get a glimmer of hope that Blake Corum might actually touch the ball that week, I'm going to take it. So I'm going with Blake Corum at plus 500 at FanDuel. Last week he played a career high 18 snaps. I'm not getting too excited about it. McVay has already said Kyron's still the lead back. I wouldn't be shocked if this week, Corum ends up playing 1 snap or something like that. So got to be careful trying to invest in any Rams running back situation. But the one thing I did notice or liked about Corum's usage was they let him get the goal line carry last week. It was a 1-yard touchdown plunge where he got hit behind the line of scrimmage and then also had to kind of go through 1 to 2 more defenders to get into the end zone. So it was a big boy touchdown. So it's not out of the question. They might let him see the next goal line attempt or another goal line attempt in this game. So that's kind of why I like him in this market. But I'm always prepared to be, let down by McVay. But I still think it's a volatile situation where getting him at 5-1 makes a ton of sense. And then on the other side, I'm going to go Jahan Dotson at 10-1 for the Eagles. Still operating as, the clear number 3 wide receiver. But last year, he was traded in season. So, he was basically the cardio king for the first handful of games until, Jalen Hurts maybe knew he was running routes. And then we saw him, he had a touchdown in the opening round of the playoffs, had a good Super Bowl, had 2 catches for 42 yards. Week 1, he was great, 3 catches, 59 yards. So he's been kind of trending up. And, he was a first-round pick, 3 years ago? So he has talent. And, with A.J. Brown not looking quite right, Dallas Goedert's banged up, Dotson could benefit. So I think he's worth a flyer here at 10-1.
I think I know what you're going to say here, but I do want to ask you this real quick because I'm thinking about it. Where are you on Jalen Hurts over 1.5 passing touchdowns at plus 175? Because that if he throws touchdowns at all, he'll probably throw 2. So I feel like this is kind of a time to buy in, but I'm curious as to where you are in that because, it's obviously the market is super, super down on him, but this Rams team doesn't scare me from that angle.
Oh, really? Oh, they. I think they. I mean, I have him right around there. I have him plus 176 for over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He's going to run it in if they get to the 1, and then you always have to worry about Barkley taking one to the house. But I know that you were kind of high on the passing attack going into the season. They're going to have to throw more. So if this game is close, we could see him throw more in the red zone. Why? What are you projecting on that? You're showing value at plus 175?
It's more so just kind of like one of those. It's not a ton of value, but it's more of like a bounce back spot with the market down, and there's nothing really. He's not really been doing anything like that bad. And I think AJ Brown is fine. This is just a low volume offense, but Witherspoon's hurt, and the minute everyone starts really doubting Jalen Hurts, he does. So, and I looked it up. He's never gone 3. It looks like he's never gone 3 straight regular season games of. In the same season without throwing a score. So, I think I might be on that one because I remember last year and everyone was like, oh my God, Brown's reading books. And then he just carved up Jalen Hurts carved up the Steelers. So this is
Well, let's hope he throws one to Jahan Dotson, right?
Jahan Dotson has had a great camp. He's playing a lot better this year. So he's notably in the mix this year, unlike Grant Calcaterra, who's just invisible. But speaking of Calcaterra, I think you have like a Calcaterra adjacent type of play in the Raiders-Commanders game, Joe.
Yeah, looking at the Raiders-Commanders, because I wanted to just make sure that Jaden Daniels is out this week, because looking right now, looking at the sports books, all the different sports books, I only see one book up, and it doesn't even feel like a real odds. So I'm not even gonna entertain it. But so if that's the case, then Marcus Mariota is starting. And if Marcus Mariota is starting, I think that means downfield passes are likely going to be at a minimum. I just looking back at some of his starts, he hadn't had a completion of over 30 yards in those 2 starts last year with the Commanders. So if I'm looking at anybody, I'm looking at people with shorter ADOT, take advantage of that zone defense. So Zach Ertz, I think, still applies here, especially because his odds continue to climb. It was around plus 275. It's now up to plus 320, which is, I think, just great value here because Raiders right now through 2 weeks, highest rate of zone in the entire NFL, cover 3 rate of 50%. Well, Ertz has done well versus cover 3, and he's also the only commander this year to have a touchdown versus zone. So, and then when I went back to look at Marcus Mariota starts, because he had a week 18 start and then another one where he filled in for him against Carolina, scored in both of those games. So I think Zach Ertz, between him and Debo, like Debo right now around plus 170, I think plus 175. Not to say that I don't like Debo, but I think Ertz offers more value in this position. On the Raiders side, though, if the Commanders are going to keep playing a ton of man coverage and single high safety, I'm just going to keep playing Trey Tucker, in those positions, because we saw how Brock Bowers looked last week. Still looks to be a little recovering. He'll still get volume, but just I don't know how effective he'll be at beating man coverage. And then Jacoby Myers the value just isn't there. I think it's like plus 180 right now. So with Tucker, you're at least knowing you're getting a wide receiver who's going to play 90% of snaps. He might get some red zone carries as well. He's got an end zone target in both games. Typically doesn't really get a ton of volume, but a really high ADOT when he plays against man coverage and single high safety. So I think anything at plus 350 or better for Trey Tucker is great value on the Raiders side. That being said, if you wanted to talk me into Dante Thornton, I wouldn't be mad at it, but Zach Ertz and Trey Tucker, those are the 2 guys I'm looking at.
Yeah, Thornton's looming, but, I think Tucker, he's clearly been the guy. Our guy Nick Giffen loves him as well, and he's looked good out there. I think that's the kind of guy they need in that spot. Just add some juice to the outside, because that's what was really lacking. And cardio king threat every week is Thornton. Well,
and Tucker, the thing is, week 1, I think he was like 8-1 against the Patriots, maybe even 7-1. And when I was talking with Nick about this, it's like, it doesn't matter what the coverage is. If he's at 8-1, I'll take it every time. But when you're going to be playing against this type of coverage, that's kind of when you want to play him, not necessarily against a team that plays majority of zone.
I'm going to go Jets at Bucks, and this is kind of devolving a little bit. Guys are hurt on the Bucks, but I guess it doesn't matter. To Baker Mayfield, so I was just thinking of changing mine to Mayfield anytime touchdown on the ground, because I think he'll be kind of running around a little bit here. The Jets have been playing some man defense as well, but I'm going to go Bucky Irving because I actually have him projected higher than plus 120. And, it's rare that you get a true edge in value on your projections in the touchdown market, because they're usually inflated a little bit more than regular props. So got to go Bucky here. And then on the other side, I guess nobody believes in Tyrod Taylor after, Justin Fields just face planted, and it was ugly out there. But I got to go Garrett Wilson at plus 215. I still think this is too low for him. If you look at the Bucks, their defense has been good, and the one thing they've been giving up is touchdowns to and big games to number 1 receivers. We saw Nico last week, and then London was well on his way. London was well on his way, but then got knocked out at the end, but had 15 targets. Could have got a couple of touchdowns. I think one got overturned as well. So Garrett Wilson made the mistake of fading him against the Steelers in week 1, and he showed out. So now, week 2 prepare for Tyrod Taylor. I'm going to buy low here, but the Bucs are a little banged up on defense as well. So I don't know which way this one's going to go. It's a luck ranking game in favor of the Jets, so maybe that helps me out here. But 2 of my favorite players, Bucky Irvin, Garrett Wilson, 215 for Wilson, plus 120 for Irving on FanDuel. Koerner, you're up. Colts at Titans. I am very interested in this game, man. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully you're on the Titans, right?
Of course. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on
yeah.
now.
It's up to 4.5 now. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll
I'm
join
waiting.
you
I
on
want to see
that.
where it goes.
Yeah, well, yeah. What are we getting a 6?
I hope so. I doubt it, but
Doubt it. But yeah, I'm with you there. But I don't want to fade this guy, Tyler Warren. I'm going back to the well at plus 220 here at FanDuel. Just had another solid 4-catch, 79-yard game. But he's still yet to find the end zone. It's going to come eventually. He had that end zone target in week 1. They can use him in creative ways. Again, he has two rush attempts now, I believe. Not that they really need him to do that with Jonathan Taylor there and Daniel Jones himself scoring 3 touchdowns. But I think Daniel Jones isn't going to keep scoring 1 to 2 rushing scores every week. Some of those are going to start to go to Jonathan Taylor. Some of those will go to the pass catchers. So I think, we're going to see some positive regression just in terms of passing touchdowns in this offense. And Warren, somebody I still want to invest in early and often. So I like him at plus 220 here. And on the Titan side, I got to go Chimere DK at plus 550 at DK. The Titans were saying heading into week 2, they want to get DK more involved, and they stayed true to their word. His routes run rate jumped up to 41% at the expense of Tyler Lockett, of course, who looks, he looked washed last year. He still looks washed this year. So I think DK's is going to continue to eat into his usage. And he's commanded a high target rate. He's seen a target on 27% of his routes so far. 3 of those were downfield, and they were just awful throws from Cam Ward. I think they'll connect on one eventually. One of them was in the end zone. Cam Ward just gave him 0 chance on all 3 of those, but he's at least, getting targeted downfield. And he had a punt return touchdown get called back. So he's the return man as well. Just another path for him to score. So I think getting him at 550 here is offering quite a bit of value.
Yeah. Him, Ayumanor, and Gunnar Helm, I think, are going to be trending up going forward in that Titan offense, along with Cam Ward himself. That's why I want to buy low on the Titans in this spot. I've seen it time and time again. All right, Jill. Saints at Seahawks. The total 7.5. The total 41.5. The Seahawks favored by 7.5. Who you got here?
On the Saints side, I'm going to Juwan Johnson again. It's always every week for me. Am I taking Juwan Johnson? Am I taking Rashid Shaheed? It's always kind of between those two. And they both ended up actually scoring last week, which was cool. But Juwan was the one I think who is the person I want to target in this game. One of the few tight ends for me. He's played over 90% of snaps in both games. Led the team in, he leads the team in red zone targets. And then also just the way that the Seahawks defense of what they've been able to stop so far, the passing touchdowns that they've all given up have all been inside the 10-yard line. Week 1, George Kittle, another one to Jake Tongas, then in third one again, inside the 10-yard line to DK Metcalf. So I want kind of guys who have that shorter ADOT and who could be those big targets in the end zone. And also, they play a lot of cover 4 and cover 6 on the Seahawks side. So I think that would usually lend itself to a deep threat like Rashid Shaheed, but they've just been so good at defending the deep ball. I just have no faith in Spencer Rattler being able to make those kind of completions downfield like when we saw with Derek Carr. So I think anytime you can get Juwan Johnson over 3-1, given how much of a fixture he is in this offense, that's the side that I would lean on for the Saints. On the Seahawks side, he's not the offensive player of the year anymore, but I still think Cooper Kupp has value at over 2-1. Right now I see him at plus 220, and he kind of looked like he was on the same page with Sam Darnold in week 2 finally. And one of the things that I like, because when you look at the touchdown odds for the Seahawks, it's Kenneth Walker at minus odds or JSN at plus 110, plus 115. And JSN, even though he has had some end zone targets that started to pick up near the latter part of last year, they just don't really target him that much once they get inside the 20. So I think the value is more on Cooper Kupp. Pretty effective versus zone defense in his career. You know that the Saints have actually, that was the one thing that changed too with once Dennis Allen left, they've actually pivoted more to like a zone defense as opposed to the man defense that they were playing mostly when Dennis Allen was the coach. So I think around plus 200 is right around that price. So anything over plus 200, I feel like we're getting a bit of value on Cooper Kupp and also with Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, great call. I love Johnson. He's playing pretty much all the snaps now at tight end. And you were making fun of me because I shouted out Kenny Gainwell last week, and then I ended up being on his under on later in the week. But I did mention for the Seahawks I liked Horton, and he did get in the end zone.
And he looked
I think
great.
That'll continue. He's a really good player. I know Sean likes him as well. All right, we're up to the Broncos at the Chargers, and the Broncos, you just have to go off the board a little bit sometimes with them because Sean Payton is just a sicko. I've talked about this why I didn't want to draft Evan Ingram, and we've seen it. Troy Franklin, big game. Mims got back in the end zone. It's just been kind of a mix of everybody here. So I'm going to go and get ahead of Pat Bryant, the rookie here, plus 1,700. Saw an uptick in snaps at the expense of Trent Sherfield last week, and Bryant saw some red zone routes, which is always good because the Broncos have a lot going on if they get in scoring position between Nix and Harvey and Dobbins and Mims and Sutton and everybody else. So Bryant coming in there as this rookie kind of unknown, untested a little bit. I could see them, and they love him, so I could see them sneaking him in there. And then for the Chargers, I think I want to buy low here on Hampton because it's just everyone's kind of talking about with him, and it hasn't looked great, just like Genty over there in Vegas and a lot of these other backs. So I think against this Denver defense that just got completely blitzkrieged by Jonathan Taylor, this has to be a good game for OH in this spot. So I'm going to roll with him at
Hampton's around even odds right now, I think.
Yeah. I got the chart. I got this total going up here. I have it at like 46.5. The market has been kind of coming up on it. It's indoors, one of the few indoor games. And the Broncos have been, I think they're going to end up being like an over team just because, their defense is talented, but they just play recklessly on offense. And Herbert does the same. And everyone's kind of looking at these wide receivers. And I thought about Harris, but he's the top running back. He's been getting most of the snaps, all of them in goal line. I think he gets in this week. OH here. A little bit of a contrarian, just under the radar play.
I thought you were going to go with Quentin Johnston or something.
Yeah, he's a value always, so I probably should. But I like to get the guys, who are going to people are just down on them. Everyone's so high on QJ that we got.
Well, and everybody's talking about Najee Harris. His snap rates went up, but
yeah,
I mean he still runs like he has concrete in his shoes. So no.
Yeah, the Steelers, they're giving snaps to Gainwell, and then he drafted this Johnson guy, and they're that's not looking great for them right now. Just to get out of the Najee situation. Now. Right? Yeah. So, but we move on. Dallas at Chicago. Koerner. This one is interesting. I've heard both sides of the argument here. Like some people like it as a high scoring game. Some people, I got Nick likes it as an under. So where are you on this game? Who are you going with?
Yeah, the Cowboy side is tricky. Lamb and Pickens are already super pricey. So I went with Jalen Tolbert here at plus 450 at DraftKings. He's been sharing wide receiver 3 duties with Kevontae Turpin. And Turpin, he was forced out of last week's game with the neck injury. And Tolbert stepped up as the clear number 3 wide receiver. Turpin was questionable, but it looks like he returned to a full practice. So I'm assuming he's playing. I was going to say I was showing some slight value on this, assuming Turpin's in. I was already projecting Turpin at 100% was showing some slight value. So I thought this is kind of sharp to get earlier in the week, just in case Turpin did get ruled out. But Turpin might be limited. We don't know. So I think Tolbert is still offering some slight value here. And, he had 7 touchdowns last year. He does tend to thrive more in the red zone area. So I thought he was the best sort of dart throw for them. But I got to go with my guy on the other side, Roma Dunze at plus 155. I'm so pissed because it was plus 195 yesterday. That was like my favorite play by far. But I still like it at plus 155. And I keep trying to say it, but he's elite wide receiver prospect that just had a brutal rookie season. He was partly to blame for that, but it was also Caleb Williams, the coaching. But he saw a ton of targets downfield, in the end zone, just everything you want to see for a receiver. And so far in 2 games, I mean, he is the centerpiece of this Ben Johnson offense. Caleb's looking for him all over the field. So I think getting him at plus 155 is still too high. I have it around, plus 125. So I'll take a Dunze at plus 155.
I don't think we're going to see over plus 200 odds again for a Dunze, because week one, he was around plus 250 against the Vikings, and then it dropped to plus 220 in week two. And now each touchdown, as it goes, like now plus 150, we're still showing value on that right now in the Action Pro projections.
Well, those are my very biased ones, but yeah, I agree. We're never seeing plus 250 anytime soon for him. Maybe a tougher matchup, but it's
maybe
hard
if Tyson Bagent
him.
is starting or something.
Oh no, I think Raybon might actually bump his touchdown projection up. Who knows?
Man, I was actually looking at some Menanjai. I think I know Swift scored last week, but I think if the Bears could get blown out again in this spot, who knows? I mean, it goes. Right. I just don't know how to predict them, and so kind of got to get ahead of the curve there. But yeah, Dunze's been balling, and I like the fact that they went to that 2-receiver set and gave him a 1-yard touchdown. Yeah, I think it was week 1 against the Vikings. So that's always good news because receivers don't always get those.
Yeah, and they're apparently going to try to give Luther Burden more snaps this week. I'm guessing, who knows what's going on, but I'm guessing that's going to be at the expense of like DJ Moore just because they're similar type of players. But I think Odunze is pretty much the focal point of this passing attack right now.
Not Olamide Zaccheaus. Just straight up DJ Moore. We're benching DJ Moore.
Not benching. No, not benching him. But they're trying to figure out how to use DJ Moore, putting him in the backfield one week. Giving hospital balls on the sideline. Like he's just having a rough go. And Luther Burden's a very similar type of player. So if he's getting more playing time, it better be at the expense of Zaccheaus. But his route tree is going to overlap with DJ Moore quite a bit.
I love how Rome Odunze's in the midst of a breakout, and yet the Bears are on the brink of a disaster with bad vibes from Moore. Caleb Williams just not being able to hit anybody but Odunze. Loveland doing nothing. Burden doing nothing. The O-line was supposed to be good, doing nothing. The defense doing nothing. All right, Joe, do something. We got the Cards at the Niners.
Yeah, I think if I keep getting assigned the Cardinals every week, because this is the third week now I've been assigned the Cardinals game, I'm just going to keep betting Kyler Murray until he scores a touchdown. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to ride this prop every time, especially if it's at 3-1 or better. I think what I'm encouraged by is through 2 games, not really kneel downs, right? Like 7 carries in each game. 6 were designed runs. He had 2 carries in the red zone. He almost actually broke one against the Panthers, just barely got caught by the foot against the defender. And for what it's worth, just looking at last year, Kyler, he was having a rough go getting a touchdown going, and then he ended up scoring his first touchdown last year against the Niners defense. I don't know if you recall, it was like this big 50-yard run. The seas just parted for him, right? So I think Kyler Murray right now at plus 320, especially given our conversation prior to this, that Trey Benson, I think, might end up seeing a little bit more run now if James Conner is starting to regress. So Kyler, I think right now at plus 300 or better, I'm going to bet this every week, regardless of matchup. On the Niners side, though, this one was difficult because I was looking at Juwan Jennings and I just didn't love the odds around plus 180. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take Ricky Pearsall instead at plus 240 because they don't have identical stats, obviously, because Juwan Jennings has already caught the touchdown. But Pearsall's getting looks, like 2 end zone targets so far. He leads the team in receiving yards, leads the team in ADOT. And why I like this matchup against the Cardinals is they play a ton of zone and a lot of cover 4. And Pearsall's targets per route run and yards per route run versus zone compared to Juwan Jennings is actually higher, so, and he's around plus 180, whereas we're getting Pearsall around plus 240. Again, I also think that he could maybe catch one over the top because the Cardinals bottom 5 in defensive DVOA versus the deep ball so far through 2 games. And frankly, I'm not as down on the 49ers passing offense maybe as some other. I like what Mac Jones is bringing to the table. I don't think it's that much of a drop off from Brock Purdy.
Yeah, no, it's not. I think that the Niners are just a sneaky team in general. Their defense playing well. They're going to be here, I think, over the long haul. So love it. And yeah, Kyler's been wanting to run. I don't know what's going on with him. I just think that he's kind of like Caleb Williams light sometimes, where I don't think he knows what's going on all the time. But he should be able to do some damage in this spot because they don't throw to Zay. They have such limited options. It's like you got to go to the tight ends, and that's that. Harrison's over there floundering. So,
well, he might throw it to Trey McBride, but he ain't going to complete it. Like, that's the thing. He's got a ton of end zone targets, but they don't connect. And then, Michael Wilson, we looked at him in week 1, but then by week 2, those odds have dropped. Wasn't as valuable as well. And then, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., if they ever get on the same page, maybe we could start looking at that. But right now, I think you still have to look at Kyler on that Cardinals offense.
All right, so Rome Odunze is going to be, of course, your pick, Sean. Jill, who you going with for your anytime touchdown?
Hey.
Well, I went off the board because I like some of these props, but it was like, all right, if I had a choice, if I had to choose just the ones I gave out today, it was probably going to be Drake London. But because I write my anytime touchdown preview and we publish it every weekend before the games start, right now my favorite touchdown prop is Devontae Adams against that Eagles defense. I think he is going to have a massive game in this matchup as well, because they traded for him to have kind of more of a solid X receiver on this team, because that was, I feel like, one of the things that was missing from them. And he caught a touchdown last week versus the Titans. They are force feeding him end zone targets right now. 5 end zone targets. That's right now. It's him and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And right now, I dare you to try to find Amon-Ra St. Brown at over plus 120 right now. So, and then of course the Eagles, I find that their defense, at least just through the first 2 weeks, they've kind of shifted away from more of a man approach, like when they had Darius Slay, and they're kind of playing more zone. And Devontae Adams, I mean, if I'm just using the Jets metrics, like he crushed zone last year. They haven't really seen a lot of zone looks through 2 weeks, but again, Devontae Adams is just too much touchdown pedigree. I'm going to take him every time, especially if he's over plus 150.
Yeah, he's thankfully he doesn't look washed. So this could be a good year for the Rams.
One more.
Not Allen Robinson part 2.
I'm going to go with Travis Hunter for mine. So that's 24-1. Dunze plus 155, Adams plus 180, and then Travis Hunter at plus 250. Sunday Night Football. I'll write up on this one. I mean, in a way, it's begging you to take the Giants on the spread, but we know how this goes the minute you trust them. So, Jill, start us off. Who do you like for an anytime touchdown in this one?
Yeah, I'm just going to go with Taylor Swift's fiance, Travis Kelce. Right now, he's around plus 140. I think the market is extremely down on him as a result of what we saw in week 2. And frankly, I think he's just going to have a bounce back game. I don't really feel like we have to say much more about Travis Kelce at this point.
Current.
I'm going to go with Cam Scatteraboo at plus 180 over at DraftKings. But he took over as lead back in the second half last week. So I'm assuming he's going to draw the start here in week 3. And we kind of thought he'd get it off to a slow start, just given he missed so much of camp and he's a rookie. But I was surprised how fast he kind of leapfrogged Tyrone Tracy Jr. So this is the market really to invest in him, because he's the goal line back no matter what. And he had that 1-yard touchdown last week. So I think getting him at plus 180 before the market adjusts, this is the time to buy in, because I'm projected, closer to plus 140.
Yeah, he was. I mean, that second half, he took over. And like in the first half, it was weird. I mean, I think Singletary got snaps early in the game, and then Scatteraboo was ended up being third for a second, but then he jumped everybody. Probably should continue. I think Tracy's on the injury report, so I don't even know what's going on with him, but I'm surprised as well. But at least they got in, and they got some points on the board, so love it. I was gonna go with Kareem Hunt, but I already went with him on the Action Pod. I do think he's gonna get more of the short yardage work than Pacheco, but I'm gonna go with Patrick Mahomes at plus 360, because Mahomes himself has said they need my scrambling, and they're still 0-2, so they still need it. And I just look at this Chiefs team, and I like Hunt, but I do see a scenario where 0-2, you just throw the ball down in there, and when you throw the ball, what happens? No one gets open, or Travis Kelce's flashing across, and he'll score one, but then Mahomes is going to flash back to that drop when they need a second one late in the game to pull off like a 17-12 win, and he's just going to kind of run it himself and hit the pylon and do a weird celebration. So we've seen it 2 weeks in a row, and that's how you know Patrick Mahomes is running more. When you start seeing him week 2, he's already got a couple of big rushing games and 2 rushing scores on the board. That's usually reserved for for the postseason kind of time.
Yeah, he didn't score a touchdown last year, and he's already in playoff Mahomes mode because he has no choice because there's just no receiving options.
Yeah, and we've seen this Giant team just get eaten up by the run, just all over the place. So I like this one. So Kelsey, Mahomes, Scatterboo. What was Scatterboo, Sean? You said
plus 180.
Okay. And Kelsey, Joe?
Plus 140.
All right. Damn, I like my Mahomes one even more. I didn't even realize he's like, compared to those guys, I feel like he should be a lot cheaper too. All right, that'll pay out about 3-1. You got Kelsey at plus 140, Mahomes plus 360, and Cam Scatterboo plus 180. All right, let's close it out strong. Final game should be fun. Lions at the Ravens. Joe, who you going with for what could be the highest scoring game on the week? Does have the highest total at 52.5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go back to my favorite, Jameson Williams. I mean, he's around plus 240. I just think that there's going to be I'm not high on the Lions in this game. I think they're actually probably it's going to be a rude awakening for them. I think this is a game where I think the Ravens might just be a beatdown, like similar to what we saw a couple years ago. Like, I don't know if you remember that game against Baltimore where they just went on the road and just got completely stomped. It was like a 1 p.m. game, so wasn't having all those eyes on a primetime spot. But I just think J-Mo right now, he's just beating secondaries. He's just constantly being able to do that. I think they'll try to be able to negate that, but I just think that he's too talented. So at plus 240, that's who I'm going to take.
Yeah, J-Mo, in a spot like this is where you could explode because the Lions aren't usually in a spot where they have to score as much as the other team who is implied for 30 plus. So I'm going to go with, I mentioned this earlier, when the market is down on somebody, that's generally the time you want to buy in. So I'm going to go with Mark Andrews here, plus 160 to score an anytime touchdown. And yeah, it was another one catch game, ugly for Andrews, but I'm not going to get off him just yet because I did notice he was still getting his red zone routes, and he was actually the first read on 2 targets in the red zone. So not really going away from him just yet. It's just that the Ravens are so good sometimes. Lamar is so good that this is going to be one of those weird teams. They're trying to get everybody involved early. So Andrews kind of been the odd man out, but I'm pretty sure they knew they were going to need him, Bateman, guys like that for this Detroit game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see both those guys that started a little slow start to pick it up here, along with my guy Charlie Kohler, who's been quiet too. You didn't give him out?
No, not yet. I can right now though. Yes, Isaac Tisla. You know where I'm going with this. Isaac Tisla at 6-1 at FanDuel. I've been high on him ever since preseason. Despite the Lions having just so many weapons. I mean, he's like the 4th or 5th weapon right now. But I think he's too good to keep wrapped up. And we kind of saw that in week 2. Week 1, he only played 3 snaps. He popped up on the injury report. He was sick or something. So I think that led to that. And then, they upped his usage last week at the expense of Khalif Raymond, where, his routes on rate jumped up to 40%, and he made just another ridiculous catch. So he has 2 targets on the year so far, 2 catches. Both of them had a less than 40% expected catch rate, but because he's so good, he caught them. So I'm trying to get as many Tesla shares as I can. I'm basically Elon right now, just trying to load up on the Tesla shares. So like Raybon, you just said, like this could be a pass heavy trailing game script for the Lions. So they might need to tap into him, potentially catching the Ravens off guard. Like this is the perfect spot to get him at 6-1 here.
I was going to say, Raybon, could we have with Isaac Tisla, could this be the Raheem Ali special, the last touchdown or like something like that? Because I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
Rashid, sorry. Yeah, 40-1 right now. I'm seeing actually a 50-1 for last touchdown score, and that would have been the case in week 1 when he played against the Packers.
I think you got to go with some Craig Reynolds too, because you never know in these spots. It could go either way, but yeah, I think one of these 2 teams they do employ those third running backs who could get in the end zone. But fuck that. Let's just hope that Tesla, Andrews, and J-Mo hit, because that would give you a nice little juicy plus 61 to 1 nearly. So yeah, I think we just want that one to hit. You know,
Yeah,
that's what
Works for me.
All right, that is going to do it. As I mentioned, we'll add these anytime touchdown parlays to the Parlay Express account in the Action app. Go follow Parlay Express if you have not yet, and have some fun with us on some of these longer shots. And while you're looking at Parlay Express on the Action app, sign up for Action Pro. It's the only way for you to get real-time pick alerts from all of our experts with immediate notifications when we post our picks. You can get $20 off right now by using promo code POD20, that's POD20, when you sign up for a year of Action Pro. That'll do it for the Week 3 TD show. Big thanks to Sean Koerner, Gilles Gallant for joining me. If you want to tail again, just check out the quick slips. If you're on Twitter X, make sure you check out Playbook. That's the one thing I wanted to mention too before we get it out of here. You can just tag Playbook, and it's an AI chatbot that will build you a bet slip at your book of choice. So you can just screenshot a bet that you see Jill make or Sean make, and it'll get it done for you. So be sure to subscribe to the pod. Be sure to check out that Playbook and follow that on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. Sean is there at _odds maker. Jill is there at GDog5000, and I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles at the Action app. So be sure to download it if you haven't already. Until next time, let's get this money.